children. This is Miss Gloria from New Life Church, and we're going to talk today about many of the wonderful things that God made in the world. Now, usually when we talk about God creating everything in the world, we start at the very beginning of the Bible in Genesis. But today we're going to talk about it from a very different book of the Bible that also talks about God's creation, and that's the book of Job. Now, Job lived a long time ago, before most of the Bible was written, so he didn't have the Bible to tell him about God, but people in his family had probably told him about God. There were stories people had told him about God, and he tried to worship God and do everything that was right. And he had lots of great stuff. He had a great family, he had a great house, he had riches, he had lots of animals and things. And then bad things started happening. Pretty much Job lost everything. Only Job trusted God. He said, "The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed be the name of the Lord." Sometimes we sing a song based on what Job said in church. So he still trusted God. But it was hard because he couldn't understand why the bad things had happened to him. And then his friends started saying things to him like, "Well, you must have done something really wrong. God must be punishing you." And Job knew he hadn't done anything wrong. But still, things kept being bad and he didn't understand it. And he wanted to ask God questions. He said, if only God would come to me and I would be able to ask him questions. Well, God showed up, but he didn't answer any of Job's questions. He started asking Job questions instead. He started asking Job questions about the things that God had made. He said, "Have you journeyed to the springs of the sea or walked in the recesses of the deep? Have you comprehended the vast expanses of the earth? Tell me if you know all this." He was saying, I'm the one who made the world. I'm the one who knows what's going on. You just have to trust me that I know what's going on. He said, "What is the way to the abode of light, and where does darkness reside? Can you take them to their places? Do you know the paths to their dwellings? Surely you know, for you were already born. You have lived for so many years." Here's God asking Job, does he understand how God made the world? And Job does not understand it. He talks about rain and lightning too. He says, "Can you raise your voice to the clouds and cover yourself with a flood of water? Do you send the lightning bolts on their way? Do they report to you, 'Here we are'?" So God is in charge of all of those things. The sea, the land, the rain, and the lightning. And then God started asking Job questions about all the animals that he had made. And some of it are very beautiful poetry about animals. I have a bag here that has a picture of the world on it. And I put some stuffed animals in here to talk about the animals. So we can look at them when we read the part. The questions that God asked Job. Here's a lion. God said to Job, "Do you hunt the prey for the lioness and satisfy the hunger of the lions when they crouch in their dens or lie in wait for a thicket?" So see, God is worrying about the animals and making sure they have enough to eat all the time. Here's a goat. God says, "Do you know when the mountain goats give birth? Do you count the months till they bear? Do you know the time they give birth? Their young thrive and grow strong in the wilds. They leave and do not return." Let's see what else I have in here. I have a donkey. God says, "Who let the wild donkey go free? Who untied its ropes? I gave it the wasteland as its home, the salt flats as its habitat. It ranges the hills for its pasture and searches for any green thing." So here you see God is worrying about the plants that the animals have to have for food. Let's see what else I have in here. Aha. "Will the wild ox consent to serve you? Will it stay by your manger at night? Will you rely on it for its great strength? Will you leave your heavy work to it? Can you trust it to haul in your grain and bring it to your threshing floor?" Some kinds of oxen are domestic animals that people use, but some kinds are kind of wild. Like this one here, it looks like a kind of a yak or a buffalo that just live out in the wild, and God takes care of them. Here's an ostrich. Let's hear what God says about the ostrich. "The wings of the ostrich flap joyfully, though they cannot compare with the wings and feathers of the stork. She lays her eggs on the ground and lets them warm in the sand. God did not endow her with wisdom or give her a share of good sense, But when she spreads her feathers to run, she laughs at a horse and rider, because an ostrich can run even faster than a horse. I don't have a stuffed horse to show you, but God asks Job about horses too. He says, "Do you give the horse its strength, or clothe its neck with a flowing mane? It paws fiercely, rejoicing in its strength, and charges into the fray. It laughs at fear, afraid of nothing. At the blast of the trumpet it snorts, aha!" And he also talks about eagles. I have an eagle here. Does the hawk take flight by your wisdom and spread its wings toward the south? Does the eagle soar at your command and build its nest on high? It dwells on a cliff and stays there at night. A rocky crag is its stronghold. From there it looks for food. Its eyes detect it from afar. The young ones feast on blood, and where the slain are, there it is. So God asked Job all of these questions. And Job had to say, "No, I just don't understand how you made the world, God. I don't understand anything." And you know what? God didn't tell him why the bad things that happened to Job. There was a reason. And if you get to the point where you can read the book of Job, you'll find out what the reason is. But God didn't tell Job what it was. But there was another reason that they don't talk about in the book of Job. And that is that the book of Job helps us. When we read about the story about Job, then we can learn how to trust God too. But you know, God takes care of nature, and he does all of these things, but he wants us to help take care of nature too. Let's hear what King David said about God's creation. "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and stars which you have set in place, what is mankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them? You made them a little lower than the angels and crowned them with glory and honor. You made them rulers over the works of your hands. You put everything under their feet, all flocks and herds and the animals of the wild, the birds in the sky and the fish in the sea, all that swim in the paths of the seas." So you see, all the animals and plants of the earth, they just do whatever it is that they're going to do, the way God made them. But people have to decide what to do. So we can decide to help God take care of his creation. We have a tree here. It doesn't look very much like a tree. It just looks like a little stick. It's not ready to be a big, strong tree yet. We have to take care of it. For the first year or so, we have to keep it in this bucket of dirt here and water it all the time. And eventually, it will grow up and be a big, strong tree. And we can help God take care of nature by taking care of plants. We can weed plants. We can water them. When we're walking, we can be careful not to step on plants and flowers or tear them up, and watch where we're going. We can be careful where we throw our trash so that it doesn't hurt plants and animals. We can make sure it goes to the right place. We can help God take care of animals. We can help feed animals so that we know we can be gentle and careful with animals. We can find ways to help people take care of wild animals too. We have to help take care of the world that God made. And most importantly, we have to take care of the people that God made. We have to be kind and gentle with people, especially when they're having a hard time, and not be like Job's friends and try to figure out what's the matter with them that they're having a hard time, but just trust that God will help them. And we have to trust that God will help us when we have a hard time too. We have to say like Job, "The Lord gives and the Lord takes away. Blessed is the name of the Lord."